I think there's a reason why, this franchise chose me at number 2, and
It could be. Do I think so? No, because you got to be honest.
Man, I really didn't want to make this video. I've been a Timberwolves fan for a really long time. I had to give it up recently because they didn't take LaMelo, and I was sick of having Stockholm Syndrome and just being a part of a bad relationship, man. Because being a fan of the Wolves just ain't it. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video, guys, is why the Minnesota Timberwolves are arguably the worst franchise in NBA history, possibly even sports history in general. So, guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you go ahead and spam that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. And in the comment section below, give the Timberwolves suggestions on how they can possibly fix their team. But I'm gonna be quite honest, I don't know how they can really do it. So guys, this video is mainly off the dome, and this is kind of a rant video, but let's not waste any time. Let's get right into roasting this team. And once again, I used to be a fan, but up until recently, I was like, nah,
that ain't it, y'all.
This just cannot be it. There are better pastures out there. But just looking at the history of this franchise, it's just a massive L. From them alienating their best player in franchise history in Kevin Garnett, to where he does not even want his jersey number retired for the team anymore. And I think most of the blame does go on the owner, Glenn Taylor, because he is the owner, and during his tenure as the owner, only consistency we have is just taking L's and making horrible draft picks. This video is not about the current roster, even though I have massive questions about it, but let's first start off with the history of this team and their terrible draft picks. So obviously, we drafted some really good players in Kevin Garnett, Kevin Love. We flipped Kevin Love and got Wiggins. We also picked up Zach LaVine. We got Cat, and it's way too early to really make judgment on Edwards or on Jaden McDaniels. But so far, they've looked pretty solid, and they're getting better and better each game. But as far as the horrible draft picks, it's kind of mind-blowing to me. Let's first start off in 2009, when we took Ricky Rubio and Johnny Flynn with the 5th and 6th overall picks. Let's forget about us passing up on Stephen Curry and DeMar DeRozan. Taking 2 back-to-back point guards in the top 10 is possibly the dumbest thing I have ever seen in my life. And then you look at their plan, which was to run 6'3" Ricky Rubio at point guard and 6' Johnny Flynn, which he's really like 5'11", at shooting guard. They must have thought this guy was Allen Iverson, which he clearly was not. 2010, Wesley Johnson over DeMarcus Cousins, PG, and Gordon Hayward. To take Wesley Johnson over DeMarcus Cousins, Minnesota loves taking the quote-unquote best fit, which is insane to me. If you really want to win or just get better, you always take the best player available majority of the time. In 2011, taking Derrick Williams. You guys could have drafted anybody else, I would have been more happy. Obviously, Kawhi is the best player there. However, that's hindsight. But just taking anybody else other than Derrick Williams, hell, Tristan Thompson would have been a better draft pick here. And obviously, Chris Dunn, terrible draft pick. And Jarrett Culver, like, just why? Anybody who watched Jarrett Culver, hell, anybody who watched the national championship could have told you this was a horrible draft pick. Sometimes, whoever the best player is, they become the system. And I gotta say, you guys just drafting players because they fit a random coach's system, which are more than likely gonna be firing, is just insane to me. Which is why I really applaud the current GM trading Wiggins and this current year's draft pick, which is going to be a really high draft pick for D'Angelo Russell. Now, Russell has not been amazing. That was a high reward gamble type trade. And let's be honest, Minnesota probably would have made the wrong draft pick anyways. And this all goes back to the culture of the team, because no matter who these guys draft, they have a terrible culture in place since before I was even born, which is honestly just a culture that's never been focused on winning. The main good things that I can really say about Glenn Taylor from actual Wolves fans, shouts out to CKE, is that he's kept the team in Minnesota. But other than that, him as an owner has only resulted in us being a poverty franchise, to where the right guys are not put in place. We look at this current team, and I don't want to really bag on Ryan Saunders. And obviously, the current GM, it looks like he's really solid. But Ryan Saunders being our head coach, even though this season he really hasn't had a fair shake because Cat's been injured, hiring him as a head coach, I don't know if it's like nepotism or anyways, it doesn't make any sense because Ryan Saunders has no experience. Ryan Saunders is not really good at drawing up plays in general. Ryan Saunders will more than likely get fired at the end of this year. I don't really know how he was qualified to be the head coach in general, because he would be a great assistant coach, but making that jump this fast is a recipe for disaster. I really had this team possibly being a dark horse to make the playoffs, and I think that was just me being a fan, because granted, Cat has been injured, Malik Beasley has looked great this season, D'Lo has been kind of iffy, and obviously Edwards, McDaniels, and even Naz Reid have been getting better and better. I really question the future of this team. Karl-Anthony Towns has been so underrated throughout his career. That's mainly because he's in Minnesota. I think he's one of the most talented players in general in the entire league. This is a big man who has one of the best three-point shots in the entire game. Can take you off the dribble, can rebound, can pass, can handle the ball, can literally do everything offensively, and has gotten so much better on the defensive side of the ball, but somehow gets no type of recognition because of his garbage team. I gotta say, I don't think that Minnesota's future is all that good, because they are in this weird position so where it's like, how do you even rebuild this team now? We really have no cap flexibility. We don't have this year's draft pick. I think it's like top 3 protected, but once again, at the end of the day, Minnesota probably will take somebody good and ruin them, or just take the wrong player in general. And I think this all starts at the top. It's been there for 20 years, and I just really do not know how it gets fixed. Normally, I have some type of suggestion, but I don't think this team does anything until Glenn Taylor sells this team. That's the only way that I think this gets fixed. Free Karl-Anthony Towns, man. It's more than likely after this contract, him and D'Angelo probably pack it up and dip. Do not be shocked if they end up back in Los Angeles. I actually want small market teams to succeed, but so many of them hinder careers, and most talented players just can't risk that, especially for like their legacies. But anyways, guys, that is the video. This is my take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. To me, poverty franchise, the worst franchise in NBA history. At this point, we worse than Charlotte, we worse than Sacramento. The Clippers are good now. Who else is there?